Good morning, students. I welcome back you all to this class of mathematics, and we are dealing with syllabus of class 12th mathematics, CBSE and CRT, and we are starting the new chapter probability today. As you have studied in your previous classes, that probability is the calculation of chance of happening of any event. It can also be understood as the measure of uncertainty of any event. So, before coming to the formal course of class 12th mathematics probability, let us familiarize ourselves with some of the definitions or the terms which are going to be used in this chapter. The very first and very commonly used term in probability is random experiment. As it is very clear from the word experiment, it is a verb. You are doing some experiment, some act, but which acts will be called random experiment and which acts will not be called random experiment, let us understand. Any random experiment is defined as any experiment whose outcome is not predetermined and it has got more than one outcome. I repeat, any experiment which has got more than one outcome and the outcomes are not predetermined is called a random experiment. Now let me give you an example. If you throw the water from a tumbler, so what do you say? Is it a random experiment or it is not a random experiment? So you very well know that when you throw the water from the tumbler, the water is going to be thrown on the floor or the object, so it's going to become wet. There is no ambiguity in this, and it has got only one outcome, that water is going to be thrown on the object lying in its way. So throwing water is not a random experiment because its outcome is predetermined. We very well know if we are going to throw water, water is going to be spilled on the floor. So this type of experiment cannot be called a random experiment. Let us consider another experiment, tossing a coin. So you have a coin and if you toss it, you throw it, it has got only two faces, head and tail. So when it will lie on the floor, you never know that the head will come up or the tail will come up. So that means first thing is that tossing a coin has got more than one outcome. It has got two outcomes, either a head or a tail. And second thing is that it is not predetermined, that whether head will appear or a tail will appear. So tossing a coin is a random experiment. And similarly, we know that throwing a die is also a random experiment. Why it is a random experiment? It is a random experiment because when you throw a die, it is very well known, it is not known that which phase will show up, which number will show up, 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, 6. It is not predetermined. Moreover, it has got more than one outcomes. So these type of experiments are called random experiments. Now we move to the next term which is associated with any random experiment, and that term is sample space. So you already know these terms in your class 11, but still I am revising in case if you have forgotten. What is a sample space? See, we have right now discussed that random experiment is any experiment whose outcomes are not predetermined and it has got more than one outcome. So if you are performing any random experiment and the experiment has got more than one outcome, so if you list all the possible outcomes, so list of all possible outcomes of a random experiment is called a sample space. Sample space is a set. It is denoted by a capital letter S, and this set will be denoted by putting across a curly bracket, and you will write here in this curly bracket the list of all possible outcomes of a particular random experiment. Let me give you one or two examples. If the random experiment is throwing a die, so you know what is a die? It's a cubical, small, around 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters cube, and it has got one dot on one face, two dots on other face, three dots on one face. So it has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 written on 6 different faces. So when you throw such an object and you get the result, so do you already know that which face will show up? No, you do not know. Any face out of 1 to 6 can show up. So if you list all the possibilities of the face which is going to show up, then you get the face on the top can show either 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. Now in this random experiment, if I ask you a question that what is the possibility of getting an even number? So which are the even numbers? Either 2 or 4 or 6. So let me denote this set by the capital letter E. So this particular subset of the sample space S is called an event. So what is an event? An event is nothing but it is a subset of a sample space. So we can write many subsets of this sample space. E can denote, E is denoting getting an even number. You can even write F. You can write a particular subset of it like getting an odd number. You can write some more subsets, and since these are all sets, so they are going to satisfy the properties of a set. Recall your concept of sets that you have studied in your previous class 11th. So you can denote another subset by G, and let me take prime numbers in this. So one is neither prime nor a composite number. So I can take 2 here and then 3 here and then 5 here. So likewise any subset of a sample space is called an event. So till now we have revised all the basic definitions that we are going to use in probability. If you want to write the probability of happening of an event, E, probability of happening means ki what are the chances that E will happen. So if we consider the previous experiment in which we have taken the sample space to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we have taken event E to be a set containing even numbers. So what is the probability that the coin will the die will throw up an even number? So that is equal to the number of elements in the set E divided by the number of elements in the sample space. So that means the cases which are favorable to E, which are 3, divided by total number of outcomes. So outcomes favoring E divided by total number of outcomes. This is how we calculate the probability of happening of any event. Also we note that probability of happening any event E complement is equal to 1 minus probability of happening of E. And we also know that if E, F, G, H, etc. are all the events associated with any sample space S, then sum of probabilities of all the events will always be equal to 1 in case they are exhaustive. That means they comprise of the complete S. Now with this knowledge, let us move to the actual topic from where class 12th starts. Your class 12th probability starts from the concept of conditional probability. To understand the meaning of conditional probability, let us consider a random experiment. The random experiment is tossing 3 fair coins. So, when you toss 3 fair coins, you very well know that what the sample space is going to be. So, let us write the sample space. In this sample space, I can see that when you are tossing 3 fair coins, all these possibilities are possible. Either all the 3 will be heads, or all the 3 will be tails, or there can be 1 head and 2 tails which can permute in these 3 ways, or there can be 1 tail and 2 heads which can permute in these 3 ways. Now let us consider 2 events. First of all, we make ourselves clear that probability of occurring of each of these outcomes is 1 by 8. So probability of occurring 3 heads is 1 by 8, probability of occurring this is 1 by 8. So each individual outcome will have probability equal to 1 by 8. So probability of each individual outcome is 1 by 8. Let E be the event, at least 2 heads appear. So let us find out which all cases in the sample space are favorable to E. At least 2 heads appear means I have to take all those outcomes from this sample space in which 2 heads are appearing and more than 2 heads are appearing, because at least 2 heads means the cases having 2 heads and more than 2 heads. So this is having more than 2 heads. So event E or the set E will contain the case HHH. This case has got only 1 head, 1 head, 1 head. But these 3 cases, this one and this one, all these 3 cases have got 2 heads. So let me write these 3 cases: T, HH, H, TH and HHT. So I can see that the outcomes favorable to the happening of E are these. Let us consider another another event F. Event F is first coin shows tail. So let us find out which all elements will come in set F. So from the sample space, I have to select all those cases which are favoring the happening of F. First coin shows tail. So this case is favorable to F. THT, TTH, because here also first coin shows a tail. THH, here also first coin shows a tail, and then TTT. In all these 4 cases, I can see that the first coin is showing a tail. Now, probability of happening of E, event E. As I have already told you, the probability of happening of any event is equal to number of elements favorable to that event divided by total number of elements in the sample space. So event E contains 4 elements. So 4 outcomes are of the favor of E, or as a set we can count the number of elements divided by total number of elements in sample space, and that comes out to be 1 by 2. Also let me calculate the probability of happening of F. So that is equal to number of elements in F divided by number of elements in sample space. So I can count that F also is containing, set F is also containing 4 elements, and total number of elements in sample space, we are talking about this. So sample space has got, let us count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 elements. So I can write it here also that number of elements in the sample space is 8. So this number, probability of happening of F, comes out to be also 1 by 2. Now if I ask you to write the set E intersection F, now you can consider sets E as a set F is also a set, and if I have to write the intersection of two sets, that means I have to write the elements which are common in E and F. So let me see that which element is common to E and F. The only common element of E and F is THH. You can see THH is the only element which is common in E and F. So if I want to write the probability of happening of P E intersection F, so that will be equal to number of elements in P E intersection F, so which is only 1, divided by total number of elements in the sample space, which is 1 by 8. Let us move further. Now let us consider another situation. We have right now considered an example of tossing of 3 coins, and we considered the we considered the two events. First was that at least 2 heads were appearing, and second F was that first coin shows the tail. Now let us consider some other situation. Suppose we are given that first coin shows tail. That means it is now F has already occurred. It is given to you that F has already occurred. Then what is going to be the probability of happening of E? See, the sample space S you already know was, the random experiment was that you were tossing 3 coins. So you got this sample space. Now they are saying that F has already occurred, or it is given to you that first coin is showing the tail. It is predetermined. It is known that first coin is showing a tail. So that means what will happen is that you will take only those cases from S in which the first coin shows tail. That means you will write F. We have already written F, so I am writing F. Now after happening of F, now what is the probability of happening of E? F has already occurred means it is predetermined that first coin is going to show tail only. With this condition, what is the probability of happening of E? And let us recall what was E. E was at least 2 heads appear. So in this case, we have, for happening of E, this event F will act as the sample space. Now you can see S is not going to be the sample space anymore. F will going to be the sample space. So what will be the probability of happening of E? That means in which cases of F which are favorable to E? At least 2 heads. So at least 2 heads means 2 heads or more than 2 heads. So there is only one case in F which is favorable to the happening of E. So now we can see that the probability of happening of E is in this case. Now I can not write it as probability of happening of E because E is now not independent now. E is occurring with the condition that F has already occurred. E is now occurring with the condition, this is called condition, and after this slash we write that event which has already occurred. So this is now going to be, let us first write, then I will explain you this terminology, that only one event favoring the happening of E and total events which will act as sample space for the happening of E with the condition that F has already occurred is now going to be 1 by 4. And previously when we calculated the happening of probability of happening of E, I got 1 by 2. This was the individual probability of happening of E without any condition. This is the individual probability of happening of F without any condition, which was 1 by 2. Okay, but now if we apply a condition, the condition is that first coin shows a tail, or, and this was F only, this was event F only, that first coin shows a tail. So F has already occurred. After occurrence of F, if E is occurring, then what is the probability of happening of E? So F has already occurred. The main random experiment was tossing of 3 coins. Now first F occurs, that means only those cases will be taken out of this in which the first coin shows a tail. F already occurred ka matlab, it means ki you have got 3 coins and first coin is fixed. It is always going to show a tail. So first coin is fixed, it is always going to show a tail. So that means the only variation will be there in the other 2 coins, second and third coins. So we are left with only this much sample space. Now after this, if E occurs, E, what was E? E was at least 2 head appears. E was the event as we discussed here. It was at least 2 head appears. So if E occurs after this, that means you will take the cases of at least 2 heads out of these 4 cases, but there is only one favorable case for at least 2 heads. So one favorable case divided by total number of cases of the sample space. So it comes out to be 1 by 4. Now let me explain you this terminology E by F. Whenever any event is occurring with some condition, E is you are calculating the probability of happening of E and with the condition that F has already occurred. So after the slash we write that event or the condition which has already occurred, and here we write that event whose probability we are finding after occurrence of this event. So this type of conditional probability is written by using the symbol E by F. So this was just an experiment to show you that when E and F were occurring individually, their probabilities were different. I mean, F has got the same probability now also because F is occurring first, but E is occurring later. So the probability of happening of E has been affected by occurrence of F. So we are going to find, we have found the conditional probability of E with the condition that F has already occurred, and we see that it is not equal to the previous probability of E, as you can see, which was 1 by 2. So probability of E is 1 by 2, conditional probability of E after occurrence of F is 1 by 4. Now can you tell me that which elements of F favor the occurrence of event E? This element was the only element which favors the occurrence of E. And which is this element? This is nothing but, this is the element of E intersection F. So we can say that elements of F which favor the occurrence of event E are nothing but the elements of E intersection F. As we have seen in the example that when F becomes the sample space, only this element was the element which was satisfying the condition of occurrence of E, and it was nothing but it was the element of E intersection F. So at this stage I can give a definition of probability of E by F or conditional probability of E, knowing that F has already occurred, is that this probability is going to be the number of elements which are favorable to E and F both, that is E intersection F, number of elements in E intersection F divided by total number of elements in F. And we have already seen with the help of the example that when we calculated E by F here, this 1, from where did we get this 1? We got this 1 by this element, because there was only one element of F which was favoring the happening of E. And why this element was favoring the happening of E? Because this was a common element between E and F. So in the numerator we have written the common element of E and F, and in the denominator we have written the number of elements of F, because F has now become the sample space. So this example we have generalized and we have written the formula for the conditional probability of an event E by F. E by F means probability we are finding is of E, and the condition is that F has already occurred. So this is going to be number of elements in E intersection F divided by number of elements in F. So I can rewrite it in this way, dividing the numerator and denominator by number of elements in sample space. So I can write number of elements in E intersection F divided by number of elements in sample space divided by number of elements of F divided by number of elements of sample space. So I have divided these two elements, numerator and denominator, by ns, number of elements of sample space, and we very well know this fraction is nothing but probability of happening of E intersection F, and this is nothing but probability of happening of F. So I can rewrite the definition as that P of E by F, or the conditional probability of E knowing that F has already occurred, is equal to probability of E intersection F divided by probability of F. And as in any other fraction of algebra, if you are using any rational number, this is going to be a rational number only. This is valid only if the denominator is non-zero. So here the condition is that probability of F is non-zero, and probability of F, event F, will be non-zero only if F is a non-empty set. So F should be a non-empty set. So now we have the formal definition of conditional probability. If E and F are two events associated with the sample space of a random experiment, then conditional probability of the event E, given that event F has already occurred, is written as P E by F. E, the event whose probability we are finding, F is the event which has already occurred. So it is acting as a condition. So this P E by F is given by probability of E intersection F divided by probability of F, with the condition that probability of F, which is the denominator, should not be 0, and F is a set, its probability will be non-zero only if it is non-empty. So it should not be phi or empty. Now let us study some properties of conditional probability. So this is called conditional probability of E knowing that F has already occurred. Conditional probability of E knowing that with the condition that F has already occurred. Now we study some properties of conditional probability. First property, let us calculate the conditional probability of S by F. S means the set sample space. So now let us recall our knowledge of sets. Sample space act as a universal set, and E and F are all the sets which are contained in S. So all the definitions of sets are applicable to sample space and events. So now if you go by the definition of conditional probability, this should be equal to probability of S intersection F divided by probability of F. Now look at this figure where S denotes the whole rectangle and F is any set contained in S. Can you tell me what will be intersection of S and F? It is obviously F only. So this is S intersection F is F. So I can write F PF divided by PF. So it's going to be 1. So the first property is that conditional probability of the sample space, no matter which event has already occurred, will always be equal to 1. That is the complete probability. Then second property, probability of F by F. That means probability of happening of any event with the condition that itself has already happened. So as per the definition, it should be equal to F intersection F, probability of F intersection F by F. So F intersection F is nothing but F only, PF by PF, and that is also equal to 1. Next property, if A, B and F are the events of a sample space S, A, B, F, all the three are subsets of the sample space S. with the condition that probability of the event F is not zero. Then probability of A union B by F is equal to probability of A by F plus probability of B by F minus probability of A intersection B by F. Next property is probability of E dash E complement by F is equal to 1 minus probability of E by F. It is a very important property. You please remember this. To strengthen our concepts, let us consider one example. In a school, there are 1000 students, out of which 430 are girls. It is known that out of these 430 girls, 10% girls study in class 12th. What is the probability that a student chosen randomly studies in class 12th given that the chosen student is a girl? So now go through the question. I give you some time. Okay, you have to find the probability that the student chosen randomly studies in class 12. So this event that you can see I have underlined with purple pen, with magenta pen, this I will take as E. The event whose probability I have to find, I will take it as E. Given that means this event has already occurred. So this event I will denote by event F. So we have assumed event E as that the student studies in class 12 and event F as the student is a girl. According to the question, I have to find the probability of E by F. As per the definition that we have discussed right now, probability of E by F is equal to probability of E intersection F divided by probability of F. So now let us define that what should be the event E intersection F. Means any event which satisfies the property of being in E and being in F. E says student studies in class 12. F says that the student is a girl. So what should be E intersection F? It means girl student studying in class 12. So when first I have to calculate the probability of what is the probability for a girl student to study in class 12th. That means, so P intersection F means number of girls studying in class 12th divided by total students in school. That 10% of the girls are studying in class 12 and there are total 430 girls. Out of 430, 10% are studying in 12th and total students in the school is 1000. So this number comes out to be 43 upon 1000. And then we have to find the probability of F. And event F is the student is a girl. So what is the probability of a student to be a girl? So we have total 430 girls out of 1000 boys. So the probability of F is 430 upon 1000. Now I find PE by F. So PE by F is equal to PE intersection F by PF, which is equal to 43 by 1000 upon 430 by 1000. I have already shown you how I have calculated these probabilities, and which comes out to be 43 upon 430, that is 1 by 10, or I can say 0.1. So students, this is how we calculate the conditional probability of one event when it is given that the other event has already occurred. With this knowledge, I just complete this lesson for today's lesson, and in my next video I am going to discuss the first exercise of probability. Till then, you revise all your concepts and don't forget to like, share and subscribe this channel. Thank you.